Hey everyone, it's Kira with Polymer Clay TV, and today I'm going to show you how to make this polymer clay button. And I just wanted to say a couple things about polymer clay buttons. I had crocheted this scarf and I made some extra large loops for deciding kind of where I want to attach the scarf around my neck because it kind of is asymmetrical. So I have 3 loops. And then I've attached this nice big button. And when you're making buttons out of polymer clay, you want to remember that if you're going to wash the item that it's attached to, you're going to want to snip it off and not wash the button because it is made of clay and you don't want it slamming around inside your washing machine or your dryer because it could crack or just get damaged, especially this one has a nice finish on it. So you wouldn't want to ruin it. I don't know that it would ruin your washer or dryer, but I do feel that it would probably ruin the button. So this is just sewed on with a very simple little cotton pearl thread, and let's go ahead and get started and make this button. Today's project is incredibly simple, but it's going to give you really fantastic results. So we're going to use Sculpey Ultralight for the actual button. I've got a thick sock needle. This is a knitting needle that I use for poking holes. And I'm going to use some Adirondack ink, and you can use any color that coordinates with your project. I'm also going to use metallic gilding polish, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gilding pastes and polishes when we're working on the design. And I'm also going to use this set of flower cutters from the shop, but I'm not going to cut anything. I'm also going to need a piece of plastic wrap and some cotton pearl thread and a needle, which I have right here. This is a number 12 pearl cotton thread. I've got it in black because of the colors that I'm working with. You can choose any color you want. This is a chenille needle. This is what they look like. I just have this because it's a nice thick fat needle, and it's going to be easier for me to use a needle like that. To start off, we're going to use the ultralight, and the reason I'm using this clay is because I can make a very large button that's going to be quite lightweight, and also the white color of this and the texture of it is going to accept my dye ink really well, and my gilding polish is going to stick to it really great, and the whole thing is going to just have the appearance of a large button, and then when you feel it, it's going to weigh almost nothing. So you just want to grab a nice big chunk. When I flatten this out, it's got to be a little bit larger than the medium-sized flower. And you'll see what I'm going to do with that in just a minute. It's quite cold here, so it's going to take me a minute to warm this up. So I've got it warm, and I'm rolling it into a nice ball to get all the seams and fingerprints out, although that's not going to matter too much in a minute. Okay, but we want it to be nice and warm and ready to accept decoration. So I've got a piece of regular, just Glad wrap type stuff, and you might have seen me use this in a previous show. I'm going to use it now to press out this clay without getting my fingerprints all over it into a nice sized circle. And what I want is for it to be just a little bit under the size of my flower here. And with the plastic wrap over the clay, I'm going to press this flower down onto it. Because I'm not trying to cut my clay. I just want the impression of the flower in it. Okay, and then I'm going to take the next sized flower, which is this one, and I'm going to line it up in between the spaces, doing my best to eyeball it, and I'm going to go ahead and press this one down as well, like so. And I'll pick this up so you can see it. And then with my final flower, which is the tiny one, turn it again so that the petals are in between the larger one, and press down one more time. Okay. So now we have this really cool dimensional puffy design. And I'm just going to poke my holes for sewing it on because it is a button. Gonna make sure they're nice and big. So that I can get my thread to go through there several times. And just check on the back, make sure your buttonholes are truly going all the way through. I see a little cracking, but I am completely not worried about the cracks because this clay, when it's cured, is very strong. And I'm only seeing the little baby cracks on the back here. It's not going through to the front. And it's just from stress from having that needle poke through, and it's fine. So now you get to decide if you're happy with that or if you want to do any more texturing or little things to the outside edge of your button. Whatever you want to do, now's the time to add texture. So here we are with just a little row of dots around the outside edge. I've got my holes and my little pattern. I'm ready to add this step, which is going to be alcohol ink directly onto the button. And this is what I absolutely love this clay for, because when you drip alcohol ink onto it, it soaks it up and it travels, and it's just really cool. So just add it a drop at a time. Watch what it does. You can use different colors if you want. And to make sure that I'm really getting the color everywhere, I am going to grab myself a cotton swab so that I can start moving it around a little bit. I want it, though, where it's kind of sinking into the cracks. I want that to stay right where it is. So I don't mind that there's a lot of ink down in the cracks. In fact, I might even add more so that it darkens up. And then I'm just going to kind of swab over the areas that didn't get a lot of color, although the high points you're going to see in a minute I'm not even worried about because I'm going to use the gilding paste or the gilding polish on them. But I do want to be sure as I'm finishing up here that the color's going all the way down around the side of the button. So you want to use your swab to make sure that the color is going around the edges. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the difference between gilding pastes and polishes. A lot of people use this Inca Gold Metallic Rub by Viva, and it is great, but it's a water-based wax, so it's a very waxy, sort of hard product. If yours dries up on you, which this has kind of done, you can add glycerin and a little water and close it up again and let it sit overnight, and you can stir it back up. It tends to dry out a little bit, and it's a good thing to have around, but you will have to definitely seal it if you're using it for something like a button. There's also Gilders Paste, which is a solvent-based product that's smelly. It's kind of like shoe polish. Same idea. You can't reconstitute it with water. And then there is the metallic gilding polish, which we sometimes have in our shop. It's kind of a difficult product to get, but this is what I'm going to use on this because it's kind of creamy and moussey, and it has a little bit of a texture to it. It's super cool. And because my scarf has some metallic threads running through it, I'm going to just touch the tops of all of my textured areas here with my finger and get this metallic. This color is called Copper Shine, and I'm going to get it on there before baking because it bakes right onto the clay, and it's super nice. Okay, so now I've got my cranberry ink in the cracks, and I've got my gilding polish on the top here, and I am going to bake this. Please bake for the manufacturer's recommended time and temperature. Under baking at the wrong temperature or for too little time is going to be your biggest problem with your polymer clay. So this says 275 for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch. So in the middle here, it's thicker than a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put this in for half an hour, and then we'll be back. All right, our button is out of the oven, and as you can see, I made sure that I've got around the edges of it. You can color the whole back if you want to. Now, because I'm going to wear this, I'm going to seal it. If this was just art that I was never going to touch, I would not bother sealing it at all. And I wanted to suggest this sealer to you. It's metal sealer and patina extender, but I really love it for sealing projects like this where I've got some gilding polishes and pastes and things going on. It dries fairly quickly, so you'll want to move fast and just use a Q-tip or a dedicated brush. I wouldn't use a paintbrush for this because it's very like sticky, and I don't know, I just wouldn't use a brush personally. But you can see that it's going to shine up my gilding polish and make it really sparkly, and then it's just going to seal in all the inks and things so that, you know, when you eventually touch it and wear it, it's not going to rub off on you and get all messed up. So you can see that it sort of looks like white glue or something down in the cracks. That will go away. It dries totally clear. But I really do like this. I've used it before, and it's a great sealer for when you're using these metallic paints and inks. Just going to go over the middle of the button, and then I'm going to set this aside, let it dry, and sew it on to my scarf. So I hope that you enjoyed this little project. It's really simple. The use of the plastic wrap and the cutters to make a pattern instead of cutting out the clay was the main thing I wanted to share with you today. Just another idea, a way to use all the fun tools that you have. Thanks for creating along with us, and we'll see you next time on Polymer Clay TV.